The story opens on Nexus Station, a massive trading hub floating in the void between star systems. The station buzzes with activity as dozens of alien species conduct business, trade goods, and seek entertainment. Neon signs flicker in. Various alien languages, advertising everything from exotic foods to questionable services. Jake, a human cargo hauler, sits alone at a dimly lit bar called The Void's End. He's been transporting goods between human colonies for months, and his last job barely paid enough to cover fuel costs. His ship, the Lucky Strike, needs repairs he can't afford, and he's down to his last few credits. The bartender, a four-armed creature named Crix, slides him another cheap synthetic alcohol. Jake stares into the amber liquid, wondering how he'll make it to the next shipping contract. That's when two alien females approach his table. The first is Vera, a tall, blue-skinned humanoid with silver markings along her arms. Her species, the Altani, are known for their grace and beauty across the galaxy. The second is Nira, shorter but more muscular, with green skin and small ridges along her forehead. She's from the warrior race called the Korathi. Human, Vera says with a melodic voice. We have a proposition. Jake looks up, suspicious. In his experience, nothing good ever started with aliens approaching lone humans in bars. I'm listening. Nira leans forward, her voice rougher than her companions. We need passage to the frontier zone. No questions asked. We can pay. How much? Jake asks, though he already knows his answer will be yes. He needs the money desperately. Vera places a single credit chip on the table. 1 credit. Jake nearly laughs. 1 credit? Lady, that won't even buy you a cup of coffee on this station. It's not about the money, Nira says quietly. It's about what we're offering in return. The two aliens exchange glances. Vera speaks again, her voice dropping to a whisper. 1 night, 3 of us, after we reach our destination. Jake's eyebrows rise. This wasn't what he expected. The offer seems too good to be true, and in his experience, if something seems too good to be true, it usually is. But he's desperate, and the frontier zone is exactly where he needs to go for his next legitimate shipping contract. What's the catch? He asks. No catch, Nira says, but something in her eyes suggests otherwise. We just need to leave immediately. Tonight, Jake studies them both. Vera keeps glancing toward the bar's entrance, and Nira's hand rests near what looks like a concealed weapon. They're running from something, that much is clear. But Jake has been in worse situations, and 1 credit is still 1 credit. My ship's not exactly luxury transport, he warns them. It's a cargo hauler. You'll be sleeping in the hold. That's acceptable, Vera says quickly. Jake drains his drink and stands up. All right, ladies, you've got yourself a ride. But I want that credit up front, and I want to know exactly where in the frontier zone you're going. Nira slides the credit chip across the table. Tau Ceti 7, the mining colony. Jake pockets the chip, though he knows it's practically worthless. What interests him more is their destination. Tau Ceti 7 is a rough place, full of criminals and outcasts. Whatever these two are running from, they're willing to hide in one of the galaxy's most dangerous locations. Ships in Docking Bay 12, Jake says. We leave in an hour. As they head toward the exit, Jake notices several alien figures watching them from the shadows. One of them, a reptilian creature with scarred skin, speaks into a communication device. Jake's instincts tell him they're walking into trouble, but he's committed now. The trio makes their way through the station's crowded corridors. Jake's mind races with questions. Why would 2 attractive alien females offer themselves to a random human for practically nothing? What are they running from? And why does he get the feeling that this simple transport job is about to become the most complicated night of his life? As they reach the docking bay, Jake catches sight of more suspicious figures following them. Whatever Vera and Nira are involved in, it's bigger than a simple need for transportation. But Jake has made his deal, and despite every instinct telling him to walk away, he's curious enough to see it through. The Lucky Strike sits in the bay, looking worn but functional. Jake palms the entry pad, and the cargo ramp lowers with a hydraulic hiss. "Welcome aboard," he says, gesturing for his passengers to enter. As they board the ship, Jake can't shake the feeling that he's just made either the best or worst decision of his life. Only time will tell which one it turns out to be. Departure. And Revelations Jake seals the cargo bay door and leads his passengers through the ship's narrow corridors. The Lucky Strike is a typical human freighter, functional but cramped, with exposed pipes running along the walls and a constant hum of life support systems. Vera wrinkles her nose at the smell of recycled air and engine oil. "It's not the luxury cruise liner, but it'll get us there," Jake says, showing them to a small storage area he's cleared out. "You can rest here. We'll be in hyperspace for about 18 hours. Nira examines the makeshift sleeping area with approval. "This will do. Thank you, human." "Jake," he corrects. "My name is Jake." "Jake," Vera repeats, testing the name. "I am Vera, and this is Nira. We appreciate your help." Jake nods and heads to the bridge. As he runs through the pre-flight checklist, he can hear his passengers talking in hushed tones behind him. Their voices are tense, worried. He catches fragments of their conversation, something about the council and time running out. The station's traffic control gives him clearance to depart. Jake fires up the engines and guides the ship out of the docking bay. As they clear the station's gravitational field, he spots 3 sleek vessels following them. They're keeping their distance, but their intentions are clear. "We've got company," Jake announces, though he's not sure if his passengers can hear him over the engine noise. Vera appears at his shoulder moments later. "How many?" 3 ships. They're not broadcasting identification, which usually means they're not the friendly type. Jake's hands move across the control panel, preparing for hyperspace jump. "Friends of yours?" "Former associates," Nira says, joining them on the bridge. "They don't want us to reach our destination." Jake glances at the pursuit ships. They're closing the distance now, no longer trying to hide their pursuit. Well, they're about to be disappointed. Hyperspace jump in 30 seconds. The ship shudders as Jake engages the hyperdrive. Stars stretch into lines, and then they're gone, hurtling through the twisted space between dimensions. The pursuing ships are left behind, unable to follow without knowing their exact destination coordinates. "That was close," Vera says, relief evident in her voice. Jake leans back in his pilot's chair. "All right, ladies. I think it's time you told me what this is really about. I just helped you escape from what looked like professional hunters, and somehow I doubt this is about as simple." Vacation to Tau Ceti 7. The 2 aliens exchange glances. Nira nods slightly, and Vera takes a deep breath. "We're not criminals, if that's what you're thinking," Vera begins. "We single quotes researchers. We discovered something that certain powerful people don't want revealed." "What kind of something?" Jake asks. Nira steps forward. "Information about human capabilities. Data that could change how other species view your people." Jake frowns. "What do you mean?" "The Galactic Council has been monitoring human expansion for decades," Vera explains. "Most species see humans as primitive, barely worthy of membership in galactic civilization. But our research shows otherwise. Humans adapt faster than any other known species," Nira continues. "You solve problems in ways that other races can't even comprehend. Your military tactics, your technology development, your social structures. They're all evolving at a rate that scares the established powers." Jake processes this information. "So you're saying the Council is afraid of us?" Terrified, Vera confirms. Our data suggests that within a century, humans could become the dominant force in the galaxy. The council members want to suppress this information, maybe even take action against human colonies before you become too powerful. And you two decided to blow the whistle? We believe in truth, Nira says simply. All species deserve to know what they're really dealing with, including humans. Jake stares out at the swirling colors of hyperspace. This changes everything. What started as a simple transport job has become something much larger. So what's on Tau Ceti 7? A contact, Vera says. Someone who can help us get this information to the right people, both human and alien. And the arrangement we discussed? Jake asks, feeling awkward about bringing it up. Vera and Nira look at each other again. That was our way of ensuring you'd help us, Vera admits. We knew humans had certain reputations among traders. We thought the offer would be irresistible. But also, Nira adds quietly, we meant it. If you still want to, after we complete our mission. Jake feels heat rise in his cheeks. Let's focus on keeping us alive first. If what you're saying is true, those hunters won't give up easily. They won't, Vera agrees. But you've already proven something important. What's that? That humans are exactly as resourceful as our research suggested. Arrival and complications. 18 hours later, the Lucky Strike drops out of hyperspace near Tau Ceti 7. The planet hangs before them like a dirty brown marble, its surface scarred by massive mining operations. Orbital platforms dot the space around it, processing. Raw materials extracted from the planet's crust. Charming place, Jake mutters, scanning for a safe landing zone. Your contact lives in this hellhole? He chose it specifically because it's isolated, Vera explains. Far from council influence. Jake guides the ship toward the planet's main spaceport, a collection of fabricated buildings surrounded by landing pads. As they descend through the thin atmosphere, he notices something troubling on his sensors. We're not alone, he announces. 3 ships just dropped out of hyperspace behind us. Same configuration as the ones that followed us from Nexus Station. Nira curses in her native language. They tracked us somehow. Impossible, Vera says. Hyperspace jumps can't be traced. Without the exact coordinates, Jake's mind races. Unless they didn't need to trace us. What if they already knew where we were going? The implications hit all 3 of them at once. Their contact on Tau Ceti 7 might be compromised, or worse, might be working with their pursuers. We need to land anyway, Nira says grimly. If we stay in orbit, we're sitting targets. Jake brings the ship down on a remote landing pad far from the main terminal. As they power down, he checks his weapon. A simple human-made pistol that most aliens consider primitive but effective. Stay close, he tells his passengers. If this is a trap, we'll need to move fast. They exit the ship into the planet's harsh environment. The air is breathable but thin, and a constant wind carries the smell of industrial chemicals and burned metal. In the distance, massive excavation machines tear into the planet's surface. A figure approaches them across the landing pad, a tall, thin alien with pale skin and large black eyes. He moves with the careful steps of someone who's spent too long in artificial gravity. Dr. Vera, Dr. Nira, the alien calls out. I am Toke. We spoke via quantum communication. Vera nods, but keeps her distance. Did you bring the data transmitter? Of course. Toke produces a small device from his coat. This will broadcast your research across all major communication networks simultaneously. The Council won't be able to suppress it once it's released. Jake notices movement behind some nearby storage containers. 3 figures in dark clothing are positioning themselves around the landing pad. We need to move. Now. What? Toke looks confused. Is there a problem? Yeah, the problem is you sold us out, Jake says, drawing his weapon. Those are council hunters behind the containers. Toke's expression changes from confusion to fear. I never. Maybe you didn't mean to, Nira says, pulling out her own weapon, but they found us anyway. The hunters choose that moment to reveal themselves. They're a mix of species, 2 reptilian Drakmor and 1 insectoid Zeltar. All are heavily armed and moving with military precision. Dr. Vera, Dr. Nira, the lead Drakmor calls out. Surrender the research data and come with us. No one needs to be harmed. Like hell, Jake mutters. He's fought alien pirates before, but never professional soldiers. Still, he's not about to give up without a fight. Human, the Drakmor continues, this doesn't concern you. Walk away and you'll be compensated for your trouble. Jake looks at Vera and Nira. Both aliens are watching him, waiting to see what he'll do. This would be the smart time to cut his losses and run. One credit isn't worth dying for, and he barely knows these aliens. But then he thinks about what they told him. About human potential, about the Council's fear of his species. If they're right, then this data could change everything for humanity. And Jake has never been one to back down from a fight, especially when the odds are stacked against him. Counter-offer, Jake shouts back. You all go back to whatever rock. You crawled out from under, and I won't have to demonstrate exactly why the Council should be afraid of humans. The Drakmor hisses in what might be laughter. 1 human against 3 trained operatives? Your species' reputation for foolish bravery is well earned. Let's test that theory, Jake says. He doesn't wait for their response. Moving with speed. That catches the aliens off guard. Jake rolls behind a fuel barrel and opens fire. His first shot takes down the Zeltar, whose chitinous armor can't stop human kinetic weapons that Vera and Nira scatter in opposite directions, using the confusion to find cover. Toke screams and runs toward the terminal, abandoning his transmitter device. The transmitter! Vera shouts over the sound of energy weapons fired. Jake sees it lying in the open, halfway between his position and the remaining 2 hunters. Getting to it means crossing open ground under fire, a move that any sane person would consider suicide. But as the Drakmor said, humans have a reputation for foolish bravery. The fight and the truth, Jake takes a deep breath and sprints toward the transmitter. Energy bolts sear the air around him as the 2 remaining hunters open fire. Their weapons are more advanced than his simple kinetic pistol, but they're designed for precision, not rapid targeting of a moving human dot. What the aliens don't expect is Jake's erratic movement pattern. Instead of running in a straight line, he zigzags unpredictably, using techniques he learned fighting pirates in asteroid fields. The Drakmor's shots miss by centimeters. Jake slides across the rough ground and grabs the transmitter, just as a blast scorches the metal where his head had been. He rolls behind a landing strut of his own ship, breathing hard. Jake! Vera calls from her position behind a cargo container. The device needs 30 seconds to upload the data. 30 seconds. Jake checks his weapon. 4 shots left. 2. Enemies still active. The math doesn't look good. The second Drakmor tries to flank him, moving around the ship's port side. Jake waits until the alien is committed to his approach, then does something completely unexpected. He throws his gun. The Drakmor instinctively ducks, and in that split second of distraction, Jake launches himself forward in a tackle that sends both of them crashing to the ground. The alien is stronger, but Jake fights dirty. A knee to the solar plexus, fingers in the eyes, anything to gain an advantage. The Drakmor throws him off, but Jake has already accomplished his goal. He's grabbed the alien's energy rifle. The weapon feels strange in his hands, too light, with unfamiliar controls, but he figures out the trigger quickly enough. The remaining hunter, seeing his partner down, abandons stealth and charges Jake's position. But Jake is already moving again, using the ship's landing gear as cover. The alien's shots spark off metal while Jake studies the energy weapon's settings. 15 seconds. Vera shouts. Jake spots something interesting on the rifle's display. A setting marked with alien symbols he can't read, but the power indicator shows it at maximum. He switches to it just as the hunter rounds the landing gear. The blast that emerges from the rifle is twice as powerful as anything the aliens had been using. It punches through the hunter's armor like paper, dropping him instantly. That's not possible. The wounded Drakmor gasps from the ground. Humans can't operate Veltar energy weapons. The neural interface requires ... Requires what? Jake asks, keeping the rifle trained on him while the transmitter continues its upload. Requires understanding of quantum harmonics, the alien finishes. Weakly. Your species isn't supposed to be capable of such advanced concepts. Jake grins. Maybe your intelligence reports are out of date. 5 seconds. Vyra announces. The Drakmor's eyes widen as he realizes what's happening. You don't understand what you're doing. If this information spreads, it will destabilize the entire galactic order. There will be war. Maybe, Jake says. But at least it'll be an honest war, not one based on lies about what humans can or can't do. The transmitter chimes softly, indicating successful upload. All across the galaxy, the research data begins broadcasting on every major communication network. Information about human adaptability, learning speed, and potential spreads to thousands of worlds simultaneously. Vera and Nira emerge from cover, both looking amazed. You did it, Vera says. The data is out there. The Council can't suppress it now. Jake hands the energy rifle to Nira and helps the wounded Drakmor to his feet. Your friends will need medical attention, he tells the alien. There's a clinic in the main terminal. The Drakmor stares at him in confusion. You're not going to kill me? Why would I? The fight's over. You lost. Jake shrugs. Besides, maybe you can take a message back to your council bosses. What message? Jake looks out across the barren mining planet, thinking about everything that's happened. Tell them that humans don't want to rule the galaxy. We just want to be part of it. But if they try to keep us down through deception and manipulation, they're going to discover exactly why their own research data should have scared them. The Drakmor nods slowly and limps away toward the terminal, supporting his unconscious partner. As the three of them watch the hunters leave, Vera turns to Jake. What you did today, ... It proves everything our research suggested about humans. What's that? That you don't just adapt to situations, Nira says. You transform them entirely. No other species would have thought to use their enemy's weapon against them, or shown mercy to defeated opponents. Jake feels heat in his cheeks again. So, about that arrangement we discussed. Vera and Nira exchange one of their meaningful looks. Actually, Vera says, we've been thinking about that. The one credit was never really payment, Nira adds. It was a test. A test of what? Whether humans could be trusted with the truth about themselves. The real truth. Jake stares at the two alien females, processing their words. A test? The whole thing was a test? Not the whole thing, Vera says quickly. The research is real. The danger was real. The council hunters were definitely trying to stop us. But the offer, Nira continues, that was our way of seeing what kind of human you really were. Jake feels a mix of disappointment and curiosity. What do you mean? Vera sits down on a nearby crate, suddenly looking tired. Our research didn't just study human capabilities. It studied human character. We needed to know if your species could handle the truth about your own potential. See, most species that discover they're superior to others become conquerors, Nira explains. They use their advantages to dominate and control. We had to know if humans would do the same. Jake thinks about this. And you figured offering yourselves to a random human would tell you that. Not random, Vera corrects. We studied dozens of humans before choosing you. Cargo haulers, traders, mercenaries. People who work alone and make quick decisions under pressure. You were the only one who asked about the catch, Nira says. The only one who seemed suspicious instead of just excited. And when the fighting started, Vera adds, you could have taken the one credit and run. Instead, you stayed to help us complete the mission. Jake rubs his forehead, still trying to understand. So this was all some kind of psychological experiment? More than that, Vera says. It was a recruitment test. Recruitment for what? The two aliens exchange their familiar look. But this time, it seems more hopeful than worried. The Council isn't the only organization in the galaxy, Nira explains. There are others who believe in cooperation instead of domination. Species working together as equals. We're part of a group called the Free Alliance, Vera continues. We've been looking for humans who could represent your species in our organization. Jake's eyebrows rise. You want me to be some kind of ambassador? More like a partner, Nira says. Someone who can help bridge the gap between human and alien cultures. And someone who can help other humans understand their own potential without letting it go to their heads. Vera adds. Jake looks out at the mining operations in the distance. The idea is tempting, but he's spent his whole adult life working alone. I don't know. I'm just a cargo hauler. I'm not diplomat material. That's exactly why you're perfect for this, Vera says. You're not trying to impress anyone or gain power. You just do what needs to be done. Plus, Nira adds with a slight smile, you've already proven you can work with alien females without losing your mind. Jake can't help but laugh at that. About that offer? Oh, that part was real too, Vera says, her blue skin showing a slight color change that might be blushing. If you're interested? We meant it when we said we found human adaptability fascinating, Nira adds, her green skin also changing shade. In more ways than one. Jake feels his own face getting warm. So let me get this straight. You tested me, recruited me, and you're still willing to? Think of it as a signing bonus, Vera says with a grin. Plus, we'll be working together closely if you accept our offer, Nira adds. It would be good to know if we single quotes compatible. Jake looks at both of them, then back at his beat-up cargo ship. The Lucky Strike has been his home for years, but the idea of being part of something bigger is appealing. And the idea of spending time with two intelligent, attractive alien females who seem to genuinely respect humans is even more appealing. What would this job involve exactly? He asks. Travel to different worlds, make contact with various species, help establish trade relationships, Vera explains. Use your ship for diplomatic missions instead of just cargo runs. Better pay than what you're making now, Nira adds. And better company. Jake makes his decision. All right, I'm in. But I have one condition. What's that? Vera asks. We upgrade. The ship first. If we're going to be traveling together, I want better quarters for all of us. Both aliens smile at this. Deal, they say in unison. As they walk back toward the Lucky Strike, Jake reflects on how much his life has changed in just 2 days. He started out desperate for one credit and ended up with a new career, new partners, and the promise of adventures he never could have imagined. So, he says as they reach the ship, about tonight, ... Vera and Nira look at each other and grin. Tonight, Vera says, we celebrate humanity's official entry into the galactic community. And tomorrow, Nira adds, we start changing the galaxy, one world at a time. Jake smiles as he opens the ship's cargo bay. Sometimes the best deals in life are the ones that seem too good to be true, but turn out to be exactly what you needed. The end asterisk.